Hey everybody, welcome back to Schmoo Talk. I'm your host Taylor with your other host John. Like I say, we want to go ahead and just give a quick shout out to today's sponsors. We're going to start off with Steve at Showcase Sedalia. If you don't know, Showcase Sedalia is an advertising magazine. It does a wonderful job. It gets local shoppers in touch with local businesses. It reaches out to over 14,000 families in the Sedalia Knob Noster area. Does a phenomenal job. If you have any questions on that, please give Steve a call at 816-448-1474. Once again, that is Showcase Sedalia. Reach Steve at 816-448-1474.
Another big shout out to Bob and Amy at Foreverton Gaming. Go there for all your card shop needs, including Pokemon, Digimon, Magic. They do run games Friday and Saturday night. What a great group of people. If you're trying to learn, go there, please.
Be there, be square.
Yep. Their number is going to be 660-851-2201.
Thank you, Bob and Amy. And we also want to thank Brian at Sedalia GNC and Sedalia, or GNC Osage Beach. Sorry. If you want to reach us here in Sedalia, it's me and John. You can reach us at 660-826-7003. Or if you're in the Osage Beach area, reach Brian and Christian at 573-302-7415. Thank you, Brian. Now we're just going to kind of roll right into this. This is an awesome segment of Schmoo Talk. We have got a wonderful guest in here with us this evening. We want to thank you very much, but we also want to introduce everybody to Elexandria. She is the creator and host of the Mental Health Happy Hour podcast, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm going to get it spit out there eventually. Now, and you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
Yep, and I even have my own website that's literally just www.mentalhealthhappyhour.com.
That's awesome. And it is a phenomenal podcast. I've got to listen to a few episodes, and it's awesome. I mean, it is really good. Even the guests that you've had on have been absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. It's been awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, I've learned so much from my guests, recording all of them. It's been a lot of fun so far, so I'm excited to keep doing it.
Exactly.
We'll make sure to put that link in the description as well. So if you want to check it out, please go there, give it a listen.
Oh, yeah. It is amazing. Now, how long have you had your podcast going?
So I started it back in July of 2022, so almost a full year in July.
Oh, you're coming up on a year. Nice.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
How many episodes have you got so far?
We are at 17 right now.
17? Nice.
Yeah,
all right.
I try to do at least 2 a month, so every other Saturday at 12 Central, just to make it regular so people kind of know when to tune in. So even if you don't see the post, Saturday at 12 will always be a new episode up.
Exactly. So, like, with the mental health aspect of it, I mean, what kind of got you started on wanting to, like, actually make a podcast and really kind of get into that market?
So, after college, you're still trying to figure out how to get into the adult world, what you want to do, what makes you happy. And my mental health was something I struggled with since, I want to say, probably, like, my senior year of high school. And so, I had always been very interested in making a podcast. Didn't know what I wanted to do. So, once I kind of was like, okay, let's start brainstorming what we could do. I wanted to do something that could make an impact. I wanted to help people. I wanted it to be beneficial. There's so many podcasts out there. I wanted it to be special.
Yeah.
And with everything I had gone through, I was finally kind of in the uphill of the battle I had gone through with my mental health. And with that, I figured more people should hear about it, because we're not talking enough about mental health. There's a big stigma around it. So, I had thought, if I can get on a podcast and talk about how I've overcome the things I'm dealing with and find other people who have been dealing with things that also want to talk about it, not only are we going to help fight the stigma, but we're going to provide more resources for mental health for other people. So really, once I kind of formulated that idea, I'm like, okay, this is what I want to run with.
And I think that in high school, especially like the area you said, being a senior, that is a very vulnerable area and time in your life, because just when you think you have the world figured out on day one of class, next thing you know, you're in your last week of school and you go, oh, what am I going to do next? What's going to happen? And I think everybody does share doubts and fears, and it can almost be overwhelming, especially after that last day. Now you're cast out there, and it's like not everybody is going to go to college, and even if they do, they don't know everybody. Yeah, and that is terrifying.
Yeah. Well, and so the big thing, too, so right before my senior year of high school, I actually got hit by a drunk driver. My car was totaled. Wow. To be honest, I was like this fearless, confident, funky kid, and it flipped my whole world, especially right before senior year, right before I'm about to essentially go through a new stage of my life. So
Right.
trying to figure out and process what had happened while also creating a new aspect of my life, a new beginning. It was miserable to say the least. Nobody talked about mental health when I was in high school nearly as much as they do now. So I didn't know what to do. I just kind of sat with it, just like a lot of people do.
Well, and you see that a lot, especially even with some of the guests that we've had, talking about kind of like what has set them up as far as with what they're doing, with themselves. And a lot of it comes from trauma. It stems a lot from that, And so, you say you had like a car accident.
Yeah.
So what happened there? What was the story there?
Oh yeah. It gives me chills, and I literally, I can't listen to the song that was playing, Miss Independent by Neo.
Oh, wow.
Cannot listen to it because it brings it all back. So
Exactly.
me and I had one of my buddies in the car too, which was terrible. I was driving. We went to go see a late movie. I was taking her home, and we were right by, we're like Total Fitnesses and State Fair. I can't remember the intersection, but basically at that intersection, the light was yellow, and I was crossing the intersection at yellow, and some guy was just blowing the red light, going, I think almost 50, hit my car. We
Thompson
spun
Hill and
out.
16th. That's right down from work.
Yep.
I mean,
no, literally right
down
there.
the road. Yeah.
We spun out, hit a pole, and sucked too. I bought my first car in high school. I had paid it off 2 weeks before this happened.
Oh, man.
So that's the thing. I get out of my car. Like, when it first happened, first I'm like, okay, is my friend okay? 'Cause
Right.
we had dealt with a lot of loss with buddies and car accidents. So
Yeah.
if I was responsible for anything happening to her, I would have never been able to live with myself. So she was okay. I had like a broken nose, black eye, but
Oh, wow.
it shakes you up. It puts this new fear in you that you never even knew existed.
And I think that when we talk about fear and almost, here's the thing. I think that there are people that go through traumatizing events, and we have to look at it one or two ways. One, yes, they can slow us down, but in your case, you chose not to just be a victim of circumstance. It's like you wanted to do something, so you found other people that were, or you reached out, in a sense, with your podcast to find other people to try and tell them, hey, you're not the only one with this situation. And instead of becoming a victim of your circumstance, you're trying to reassure people that life goes on, things are okay, and you can move forward. And that's really cool. Like, because I can only imagine, I've been in a car wreck, but nothing like that. And me and Taylor have personally lost friends when we were in high school. So we know it's terrifying. It's scary how quick that can happen. But kudos to you for persevering.
Thank you. Well, and crazy that you say that, just like persevering through it. A big thing that helped me start my podcast, it's a book called The Obstacles Away. And my dad read it, and he's like, you have to read this book. Like, swore up and down it was such a great read. And it's cool because it talks about famous people we all know and how they failed, they went through obstacles. I mean, every bump in the road that could come their way, it goes through it. So you realize even successful people go through these terrible things, but then they were still successful at the end of the day. So, that motivated me, because seeing other people kind of struggle and rise from it, it makes you so believe that you can do something.
Oh, for sure. And and that's that's kind of what I get from your podcast too, because it's one of those where, like, listening, especially like when you had, I forget who your friend was, but you were talking about like men's mental health.
Oh, Baxter!
Baxter,
that was awesome.
It was
I love Baxter. He's awesome.
He's awesome. He did a great job. But it's one of those where it's like he was very open. You know what I mean? And that's awesome, because like you said, it's very difficult, especially for men. It seems like for us to show that kind of emotion, or to be vulnerable.
There's just such a stigma to be a mountain.
It's terrible, and that's why, to be honest, that's the best compliment I've gotten about my podcast is people say, your guests are so open and real.
Yes.
And I've actually had probably about half of my guests have been male.
Right.
And it's remarkable. Even so, Baxter, probably a month after he came on my podcast, he messaged me, and in his workplace, because he does logistics, which that within itself is a super stressful job, but he's like, I got up in front of my company and talked about mental health, and I don't think I would have had the confidence to do it if I hadn't practiced on your podcast. So
exactly.
it just shows that having and starting the conversation can go such a long way, especially for men, you know? Because,
Yes.
I mean, you guys want to be macho. It's hard to talk about feelings and what's
Yeah.
going on. So,
It is. I mean, and just, and like that, it's the stigma that's behind it, of course, just
Yeah.
like that, all men, they want to be macho. They, we don't want to
Yeah.
show weakness, because
Mhm.
it's just part of, it's just almost like in our DNA in a sense,
exactly.
But the nice thing about it, when you do have somebody that can get over that aspect and actually be vulnerable and be real
Yeah.
and let people in, it's one of those where even like for me listening to that, I got the feeling of like, you know what, if you're fighting issues, if you have a problem like that, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And the feeling of just knowing that it's like you're not alone, like, oh wow, there's somebody else that feels the same way about that.
Yep.
It's like, all right, that's good to know, because you start to second guess yourself and your own thoughts, especially when you're going through things like that, And I
Exactly.
fight that all the time too, I mean,
Mhm.
we talk about mental health even for ourselves a lot, I mean, and that's what
Yeah.
drives us even at the gym and like, and for him
Mhm.
with powerlifting and things like that. I mean, it's all mental.
Exactly. Well, and the thing I've learned too is you just have to find the level to connect with people. So you bring up fitness. That's a huge outlet for me in my mental health, and I talk about that all the
Absolutely.
Yeah, oh,
time.
yeah.
Because I mean, the studies that that show how much exercising helps your mental health, eating well helps your mental health, a good sleep schedule. I mean, just lifestyle changes in general can not only make you feel better, but it can make your mental health problems honestly just not become such an obstacle.
I want to throw two things out there. First, if anybody right now is going through any trouble, first and foremost, just know that you can pick up your phone, you can hit 988, and that is the prevention hotline.
Yeah.
Like Taylor said, there is people willing to listen, and like you said,
Mhm.
and it's like, so it's very important. So
You're not alone.
You're
out there.
not
I
alone.
promise you.
and
You're not
see,
alone.
for me and Taylor, we have each other, and we're very blessed with that. And we've been friends since 5th grade. Not
Mhm.
everybody may have that, but just like you said, you can go to the gym and you can find people. You might not your
Yep.
first day, but you'll be surprised how opening to your life a gym can be. I always say this too. A lot of people like ourselves, I guarantee you, everybody at this table has body dysmorphia in one way or another.
100%.
Yep, without a doubt.
Okay.
Oh, so bad.
Without a doubt.
So bad.
And that being said, I want to bring up the point that you can start. I think a lot of this stems from one or two things. Okay, when we get up in the morning, we all do the same routine. We use the restroom and we look in the mirror. Most people that don't want to look at themselves in the mirror start off in a very negative aspect of their day. Okay,
Yeah.
whenever you go to the gym, this is me. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for you all. When I go to the gym and I get a workout in, no matter if it's a soft one, a hard one, whatever, I get up the next morning and I can look myself in the mirror, even with my dad, and say, hey, you're working on it. You're improving. And my day has automatically become that much better.
And that's a big thing too, is just purpose. Going to the gym has given me a purpose because I had a total lack of confidence going to the gym. And it's not about looks, it's just having an hour of your day to just focus on yourself, better get to know yourself. I mean, to me, it can help a lot. And a lot of people don't think to take that hour of the day to themselves. We get really busy, and a lot of people don't go to the gym because their excuse is I'm busy.
Yeah.
And I totally understand, but if it's important to you, which your health should be really important to you, you gotta find the time.
Oh, for sure. And I don't know for everybody, but especially like for me, like when my mental health is getting out of whack, I start secluding myself, and I notice that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not that I don't want to be around people, but I don't feel like I need to be around people. Like it's almost like you want the support, but you don't. It's like I want to hug,
Yeah.
but don't touch me. It's
Yeah.
kind of it's a weird thing that way, and I notice like whenever I get myself into that kind of position, I'm like, I need to go to the gym. Go surround yourself with something positive
Yeah.
instead of sitting here and thinking about all the negative, because you can consume yourself in negative
Mhm.
thoughts, and I do it so much, and it's like I have to force myself to get out of that slump
Yeah.
because and just like with any kind of depression or mental health and stuff, I mean it comes on. I mean you're not trying to bring it on; it just happens. And when it hits, I mean, you could be having the best day, and then just snap of a finger, it's there.
And you can't explain it
You
either.
can't explain it. And, like, everybody's like, what's wrong? And you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell you.
Well, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. That's why I do try to get, experts on my podcast. And so I went to school, got a degree in political science, so I had to learn how to properly research. So before I do every episode, I'm looking at TED Talks. Every ounce of information I can get, I'm going after, because people need to understand what's going on with them in order to find solutions. And that's another thing that's helped me, is learning about what anxiety is, what depression is, just the nitty gritty details of what it looks like, how it can affect you, how it can affect your relationship. So that's a big thing, is just educating people, because I think when you can see the signs, like, okay, I'm getting anxious, that's why I'm shutting down, then you can start looking for resources, because you know what's going on, instead of, I just thought I was crazy for the longest time. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Until I educated myself on it, I didn't know what to do, you know?
Well, and honestly, John helped me out more than he actually even knew, because, like, with me, I was fighting it really, really bad and not telling anybody, just trying to keep going on like normal,
Yeah.
But behind the curtains, it was, I was dipping into, drugs, alcohol, whatever I could do to just not feel like myself.
Yeah.
Trying to become somebody different,
Yeah.
and it's one of those where it's like you were saying, like, looking in the mirror, you don't even know who you're looking at anymore. And that's when it gets kind of wild. And, like, when I was at, like, my lowest point is when he was just like, hey, man, he's like, let's go to the gym. Why don't you come work out with me? I'm just like, man, I don't want to be. I just don't want to do it. I want to be around people. I'm not feeling it. And he's like, just come hang out. He's like, you don't even have to do anything. He's like, come hang out with me, bud. He's like, I need a spot. I need a spotter for bench.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, so I'm like, and he's like, I don't have nobody else, man. I want a PR, please. Kind of trying to make it more about him than me.
No, exactly.
But it was all for me.
See,
Every bit of it. We got to the gym.
Mhm.
I don't even think we did bench press. We didn't even need to. You know what I mean?
That's a good friend.
Exactly.
That's honestly, that's amazing.
Yeah, but he could see it. He's like, all
Yeah.
right, bro, you're in a slump, dude. He's like, let's go to the gym. And
Yeah.
he's like, get out of your own head for a minute, because
Yeah.
you can't be thinking about other things. It's
Mhm.
like, because people always ask, especially like when we started lifting really heavy and he got more serious in powerlifting and stuff. They're like, man, like, what kind of mental state do you have to go to do that? And it's kind of one of those where it's like, a lot of people would think, like, oh, you're going to be in, like, a mean or a mad, like, oh, I'm ready to go crazy kind of state.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, it's like, it's kind of a weird one, because I'll use fear for my motivation.
Okay.
Like, yeah, because I'll look at it and I'll be like, are you intimidated? You better be.
I like that.
Yeah, because
to be
I'm
honest,
like,
that's the first I've heard that.
yeah,
like that.
because that's how I have to do it. I'll just look
Uh-huh.
at it and I'm just like, I have to overcome this fear.
That's
It's staring me
awesome.
right in the face.
Uh-huh.
Attack it. Don't run away from it.
It's
Like, you've built up to it. You deserve to do this. It's like you've earned the right. It's like you have to face it. That's how I have to look at it, But it took him kind of pushing me into that aspect to really get that, And so now that's how I do that to really help my mental. You know what I mean? It's like I'll go to the gym, and even if it's something that I know I can do,
Mhm.
I'm setting it up as something that I can accomplish. And
Yeah.
that is a goal that is accomplished, And and sorry, I'm taking it all from you, but it's one of those where it's like, one thing that I always really liked about him too was it coming from, like, the military. Like, the first thing you do is make your bed. Like, get out of bed and make your bed. That is the first goal that you've accomplished of the day.
And that's I preach that.
Yeah.
That's actually my dad always made me make my bed first thing in the morning. He was military, and I never really understood that. And when I got in there, that's what I heard, and I was like, and it always stuck with me. So it's not that I have anything against the unmade bed in the morning, but I think for the last I'd say 11 years of my life, if not longer, since I was a kid in high school, I always made it then too. So probably half my life, I have made my bed every morning.
Nice.
And it's the principle of, I get up, I accomplish my first mission, my first goal that morning. It's done, and now I'm positive.
Yeah.
But I promise you, the one time I forget,
Oh.
somebody sees it.
Oh,
And
every
feel-
time.
Every
Every
time.
time.
Now, with you, we just became aware that you're doing a show.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. How are you dealing with that? Are you excited? Is there a little anxiety? Where's that at?
So I am competing in Miss Missouri USA in May.
Ooh, nice.
Basically, I'm doing it for my podcast. I want to get the message of mental health out more, and that's really what
Where's the competition at?
Branson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
I know. I'm excited.
When is it?
May 20th and 21st.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can even watch online if you're ever interested.
Hey, there you go. You heard it.
But so basically, and also to kind of kill the stigma about pageants, people think feathers and tiaras when they hear pageants, but when you run for a Miss USA state to go compete at Miss USA, you have to have a platform. An interview is a really big part of that. So I competed probably 3 years ago. First time doing it in the USA system. Didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have a why or a reason either. I just kind of did it for fun, and I had competed in pageants when I was younger. So
okay.
Yeah, I was Little Miss Atlanta when I was like 9 years old.
Really?
So,
Nice.
So
All right.
I was just kind of doing it for fun. I was still in college, but I told myself when I did that, I didn't even place. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Pageants are a thing of the past. Well, then I created my podcast, and I'm trying to brainstorm, like, how am I going to get this out to people? How am I going to evolve this to what I want it to become? And I had seen an ad for Miss Missouri. I'm like, I have my why now. I have a reason. I have a mission. And that's what it is, because with Miss USA, your whole reign is going off your platform. So if I win, I'm going to be going to high schools, workplaces, and talking about anxiety and depression and resources.
They need to hear it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
especially for high schoolers, because getting out into adulthood and having to figure out that part of your life and also your emotions and how your brain works is hard. So being able to graduate high school and already know your brain enough to where when you're struggling, you can help yourself. So when all these obstacles are thrown your way of just life, you're not dealing with your mental health as well.
Right.
So that's honestly what got me going to run for Miss Missouri. So I've been doing a 12-week cut because there's a swimsuit competition.
Oh.
And that's the thing. I love working out. I was in a pretty decent condition. So
Right.
And I've always wanted to do a cut. So I'm like, this is my excuse to like be very serious about it.
Yeah.
So I have a coach for my cut. That's going really well. The discipline is ridiculous,
Oh.
especially because I love sugar. I love carbs. Having to cut them out.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Yeah.
Well, even like sparkling water. I used to hate it, but now it like kind of tastes a little sweeter than it used to,
Right.
And then I'm interview prepping. I have a coach. We do like a Zoom meeting once a month because that's the biggest thing. And that's why people are like, oh, pageants are just for looks. Well, yes, there's evening gown and swimsuit, but 9 times out of 10, the girl that wins killed her interview.
Oh, 100%.
And that's the thing, because
You won the crowd.
basically,
exactly.
because and judges think we can teach you how to walk on stage, we can do your hair better, but we can't teach you how to have a better personality or be a better person.
Right.
So my interview has been what I've been working on a ton. I'm super excited because I'm 2 months out. I think I'm light years ahead of where I was when I competed last time. But, you have to just stay in your own lane, because with pageants, it's so easy to be intimidated by other pretty girls, other girls with these girls are so ambitious. They're doing so many things. You just have to focus on yourself, what you offer, what you are planning to do in your mission. So as excited as I am, getting closer to competition, starting to see my competition, it's hard to keep that narrow mindset and to not compare yourself to other people.
Right.
And that's kind of the part I'm at, is I'm working so hard, and sometimes I can keep myself off track because social media, blessing and a curse, TikTok, a girl I'm competing against, randomly, I don't even follow her, but one of her TikToks come across, and you get the, oh, she's so pretty, like she has this good message, and then you almost start like, I've been prepping for like 7 months, and then you almost start doubting yourself off of this this thought,
Exactly.
Well, people have to remember that, like you said, not only you have to remember your why, and that's the big picture, and like that true beauty is on the inside, and we know that. I think it's beautiful that you all can take health to that level. I think it sets a good example, more than people want to give it credit for. But at the same time, I think the message that you give really it will show the person you are. I know that, like you said, going to these high schools, it's when I got out of high school, I didn't really have a reason. I didn't have a purpose. I was looking for it too, and it's funny is if you ever think that you're the only one, well, I'd run into somebody out of high school a year later. I hadn't seen them. You know, we're in a class
Yeah.
of 56. Next thing you know, you're over there and you're giving them a hug. And you're like, why am I hugging this person? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're
No,
just
yeah,
like,
exactly.
oh, because I'm just so happy to be around somebody that I grew up with, and we have like stories, and he understands
Mhm.
my path and stuff, and so like when you see that, it's a beautiful thing, but they reciprocate it too. A lot of people want, and I know this sounds goofy, but we always talk about the power of a touch. You
Yeah.
know, just
Yeah.
putting your hand on somebody's shoulder and
yeah.
just being like, "Hey, bud."
Mhm.
The
It's
power
like,
of human touch.
yeah,
Oh, exactly. We
Very
we
good.
love connecting as people, but we forget like the physical connection to like you
Yes.
said. That's honestly a big part
it's
of
like
it.
Yeah.
so. It's I don't want to take that for granted from people, because we always hear that other thing where it's like, oh well, you don't know what somebody is going through.
Yeah.
You don't know that you could have just been the light of their day, and everybody has. We've worked at the store and we've had people come in, and I mean just being one of those people. And when I see that, I try to revert from being the way back, because I'm just
Yeah.
like, maybe they're just having a really bad.
And that is the hard thing, especially too, because even if you're having a good day and someone comes in like that, you're like, well,
Mhm.
you don't take it that well. But then, like you said, you have to think like, if that were me and I was having one of my days, I'd probably be doing the same thing. You know?
Exactly. Oh
Well,
yeah,
that
or
goes-
worse.
that
Yeah,
goes-
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, that goes a lot. My mom was a teacher, and when we grew up, there was a kid. He got picked on a little bit, and you know, I'm ashamed to say it's like, I kind of got in on it, but she pulled me to the side and got real personal with me and just said, "What if that was you? What if that's you, and you can't do anything about it? So now, how do you feel?" And even at a young age, that hit me so hard that I was just like, "Yeah, it's free to be a good person."
Yeah. Well, and going into high schools, that's a big thing I want to touch on, because even kids are mean. And that's the thing, I got bullied in high school in a way like, not picked on like, oh, you look funny. It was like rumors, because girls, it's like,
Yeah.
you come to school and there's this story about you. You're like what's going
Why?
on?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm to the point now, I realize we're all going through our own BS in our head. Why are we going to make it harder on each other by being mean?
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know?
what's really, and that's the thing, especially nowadays, because we're old. We graduated in 09, so we're,
Uh-huh.
Get the casket.
yeah, it's like we didn't have the cyber bully
Yeah.
as much as it is
Oh
now,
my God.
because we didn't have the social media to worry about. Yes, we had
Yeah.
MySpace, Facebook, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that is all we had at the time. We still had to be very personal with each other.
Yeah.
And nobody was trying to be somebody different.
Yeah.
Now, it's one of those where it's like you could see somebody on their Instagram page and then meet them in real life, and it's two different people.
Well, and you can never get away from it.
That's
That was
exactly
the
right.
hard thing. So, and that was what I dealt with, was when I was in high school, there was Twitter drama. There was just all the social media, people posting things, just mean things. And, you deal with it at school, you hear all this stuff, and then you go home and your phone starts buzzing, and you're like, you don't get a break from it.
Right.
And that's why, to be honest, as lovely as social media is, it is the root cause of so many mental health
Oh
problems.
man.
So many. They were even talking about that. I was watching today the live stream of the court case with TikTok, and they're just talking about how TikTok has affected high schoolers and even, a very wide range of kids' mental health at such a young age, because they're so easily influenced by what they're seeing,
Yes.
the content in front of them.
Well, and it's one of those things too where it's so out of control
Mhm.
anymore. Even for the parents. Even if they try, it's like, what are they going to do? How are they going to keep them away
Yeah,
from
I
it?
gave kudos.
Exactly.
I gave kudos to one of our friends, because I know that she chose not to
Yeah.
give her. I think it was 12, maybe
Mhm.
13, and he wasn't even in high school yet. I know that they chose not to give him a phone.
Smart.
Yes.
And it's like,
Smart.
for me,
Or give them a flip phone.
a flip phone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
think about it. That's what we grew up.
yeah.
Hell,
We
I had a
had-
flip phone
yeah.
for years.
And
Exactly.
and it's funny. It's like the world wasn't too bad with flip phones.
Mhm.
And if I could go back, that's what I would do that same thing. I'd just keep the flip phone
Yep.
and
Yep.
go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's just it's it can be so gratifying and it can be so useful, especially in our worlds of like in the podcast. Because I mean, this is what we're doing. We're in the we're in the media. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're trying to be out there. We're streaming. We're doing it.
Yeah.
But it can be so toxic for certain.
It's glamorized.
Well, but that's the thing, and even with my pageant, I'm manifesting. When I win, a big thing of what I want to put forth is, on social media, we see the best part of everyone's lives. We see the successes, what everybody wants you to see.
Exactly.
And when I win, I'm going to be like, if it weren't for me failing so many times in life, I would not appreciate this moment as much as I do now.
Exactly.
Because that's what people don't see is the nights I am bawling my eyes out because I don't think I could do it. I'm like, why am I doing this? This is such a big mistake. They don't see how hard it is to be successful. People just see the success.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we as a society should talk about more because you're not successful without the failures.
Well, people have to also learn that no is just a word.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just a word. A lot of times it is just an obstacle in your way. In the military, I promise you, because I'm not the tallest guy in the world, I got told no more times than I can count. No, you're not the one we want. You're not the one we need. We want to send this person to this school. We've got to do this. But guess who accomplished all of it? I didn't let no dictate my life. I didn't let fear of somebody else's doubt dictate my life. I rose to the occasion. And I was blessed to know that there were people supporting me. And the funny thing is after you accomplish something, now they kind of go, well, maybe there is something. You got to prove the haters or the doubters wrong. And then you find out real fast that it's not all hate. Sometimes you have a lot more people cheering for you than you realize.
Exactly. That's another big thing that I wanted to talk on too was the how do you know like when people are being genuine nowadays? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's always kind of a big fear too.
Exactly.
Because like that, it's like, well, they could be like, oh yeah, you're doing awesome, good for you, and then turn around and then write another one and be like, but you still suck. And it's like, what? Wait a minute, what happened?
Exactly.
And it's like it can be so wishy-washy that way, that where it's like, especially with a young, undeveloped mind, going through that, where it's like they just want to post something cool. It's like, oh, look at this cool shirt that maybe my grandma got me.
Yep.
And then they put it out there, and then all of a sudden they just get bombarded with comments from people like, oh, that's stupid, nice shirt,
Yeah.
Is that your mom's? It's like, wait a minute, it's like, why can't we spread more positivity than negativity? It's like, why does there have to be so much hate on that stuff,
Yeah, I like it when somebody posts their failure. I'll be the first. I'll be the first person to tell them, hey, you're gonna get it.
Exactly.
Good job.
Yep.
You can't be scared of that. It's like, but good for you because like you said it perfect. Failure is a step and it's a gateway to success.
Yeah.
You don't know the value of success without failure.
Well, and to be honest, I have learned better lessons in my life by failing and messing things up. I would have never learned these things if things would have gone just peachy keen in my way.
Exactly.
And honestly, too, so I have an Instagram page and I post like my workouts, what I cook, kind of fitness and health. That's really just my lifestyle. It's part of the mental health brand
I
that
love
I'm
the
trying to
food thing,
push.
by the way. Like, you have great
Thank you.
ideas. Like, I'll
Thank
see
you.
that. I'm like, I like that. That's sweet.
Well, the thing is people always come up to me and, they're like, oh, you look great. And I'm like, thanks. I work my butt off. So, like, I appreciate it. So I got a mic and I'm like, I'm going to show people how hard my workouts are because, yes, I work hard, and I'm not kidding. Mic's up. I'm like, okay, this is burning. I want to cry. I'm about to puke. Just the real truth of it. Because that's the thing is we need more authentic, real people because then people are like, oh, that's how I am at the gym. Like, if she's worked this hard, she can get like that. If I just keep grinding too, it gives people the honest sense of hope they need to have,
Hope. Well, it's very
motivating.
motivating.
Exactly, because people get so discouraged. They're like, I can't do that. But if they see that it's not so easy, they'll keep going. They're not going to give up.
I did a circuit today, and it was 5 rounds. And, some people, good job, you finished, and all that's impressive. But I promise you, if I had a mic and I was going through am going through round 4 out of 5, I'm just sitting there like, And in my head, I'm like, did I say 4 or did I say 5? I can get by with 4. And I'm just like, oh, I said 5, you know. So, but then on the backside, the sense of accomplishment for myself.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, all that sucked, and then I finish, and I'm just like, hey, all right, you did it. Good job.
And you just feel better because, like you said, having that purpose, knowing you accomplished something. I just have a little skip in my step, you know. Once I work out, anything could have happened earlier, but it kind of rejuvenates me, you know. You're like, okay, we're good, you know. Things happen. We're just gonna keep moving forward.
Right. And you know, and like that, and like showing failures, and you know, and like really being honest about like workouts and things like that. You know, just kind of showing them like how you're talking, how you're breathing, what you're thinking. You know, things like that. It's like I love that because it's one of those where it's like. Once again, it makes you feel like you're not alone because, like, you'll see somebody, especially like if they're very motivated, you know, and you're just like, man, look how they're pushing through. That's awesome.
Yep.
But then you actually like get to hear what they're thinking, and they're just like, hey, this sucks. I don't want to do it either, but I have to.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I know I'll feel better when it's done, just like you know you'll feel better. So let's just get it done with. Like we're here, let's rock. You know, it's like okay, and it's kind of like how he is like with them circuits because I've done a couple with him.
Yeah.
It's horrible. I'm not made for that kind of thing. But it's one of those where it's like, you know, halfway through and I'm dying and he's just like, come on, man, you're doing great. So, you know, and he's just lying. He's like, your pace is awesome, man. You're doing so good. You know, I'm like, all right, like maybe I am doing good. And then it gets you like more motivated and then you get finished.
Yeah.
You know, and he's been sitting there for 20 minutes, like, you know, cheering you on like, this is an 8-minute workout, bud. You're in minute 17. You're doing great. Keep it going.
He's done really well.
But yeah, I mean, it is fun because like that you can find motivation.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly, because it's all about mindset, and
yeah.
and that's why mental health is so hard because you can't control your mind. You know, you can try to, as much as you can. Some days it's gonna work out better than others, but yeah, you have to be disciplined with it, and that's the point I'm at. Is I know I have bad days, and when I have bad days, and like I said, you don't want to go anywhere, you don't want to socialize, you don't want to do anything. It's like if I just go to the gym, I will feel a little bit better. I know I don't want to, but it's just the discipline. I know it's going to help me, even though I don't want to do it. I need to do it. Kind of
So, one thing I'll say as well is that I think a lot of people don't like they go through trauma or they go through a situation. It might have been something with a parent. It might have been an animal. It might have been a really bad situation when they're younger. You just don't know. But one thing that I learned at an early age is self-closure.
Yeah.
Self-closure. That is a hard thing for people to really acknowledge because, again, it comes down to you facing yourself. A lot of times we have to just sit there and I think it's in AA meetings, they say, Lord, help me, forgive me for things I cannot change. Or forgive people for things they can't change. Something like that. I've been to a few. I wanted to see what the experience was like, and you know, help a friend, and so I went with him, and I heard that, and it's just like, yeah, you know, you can't change everything in life. You can't change the past, but what you need to do is just a lot of people just need self-closure. I know that after that, I reached out to a few people, and to them, probably didn't mean anything. They're probably like, dude, like that happened 10 years ago. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, it doesn't. It didn't matter to you, but it did to me. You know, so now that this is off my chest and I've said my piece, I can be one with myself. I'm good. I can walk away from this situation and no longer have it being a ball and chain for my heart or my mind.
Yep.
So,
well, and that's the thing with PTSD and of any sort. You can get PTSD from so many things. I mean, so many people deal with it, but like you said, it's always going to be in the back of your head. I've talked to veterans. I've talked to people that had abusive home wives, and you know, they've moved past it. Like you said, they got closure, but to this day, I mean, it's still always there. It's just, you know, the closure helps from it just cycling all the time. You know, it can be triggered, but you're not constantly thinking about it, worrying about it. You know,
well, and that's kind of the thing too. Like, you know, especially like talking to people that went through therapy and stuff. You know, and like really digging into like where the root of the issue started is what can really be overwhelming because you don't even really think that's being the thing until you get to it and you're like, oh wow, maybe that is the source of my depression, anxiety, and things like that. You know, because especially like like with us. I mean, we both come from broken homes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's always kind of and then losing friends at young ages and things like that. It's like I can see where a lot of that could really play a big part in mental health, things like that.
Exactly. And to be honest, this is where therapy is amazing. If you can find the right therapist, it's kind of like speed dating, to be honest, because you have to find the right match. It's not just the first person you you connect with, you feel comfortable with, which, kind of side note on that, there is an app you can use where it's like online therapy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's honestly really awesome. But with you talking about PTSD, I didn't realize what I was dealing with until I went to a therapist, filled all my beans out, and she's all like, okay, your car accident was the start of all of this stuff kind of happening and trickling down. And you hear that, you're like, oh, hey, like, connect the dots. And that's the thing, that's why closure is really important. Understanding your background, what you've gone through, because it wasn't until she kind of showed me the big picture of it, I'm like, that makes so much sense. Now I understand why I've been acting the way I have.
Yeah.
So that's why, therapy is awesome, because it's nice having someone listen to you and then being like, okay, this is what's going on,
Yeah. Well, and I like what John said too about the forgiveness. I mean, with I know even like with a lot of my own mental things, like forgiveness wasn't.
Yep.
And it's one of those where it's like forgiving yourself, forgiving them. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And it does definitely help. But like you said, it's like it's always kind of there.
Mhm.
I mean, it's there. It's within.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those where it's like, but we find better ways of kind of getting around it or working through it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
you can't ignore it.
no,
You
no.
can't ignore it.
Yeah,
No.
but you can turn a boulder into a pebble.
Yes.
You can turn a boulder
Yep.
into a pebble real fast once you figure out its weak point. You got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so when we're talking resources, because that's essentially what we've done. One, we've laid out that there is therapy out there. We've laid out closure. We've laid out the fact that hobby, the gym. Because when we say the gym, people understand that we're not saying, oh, just go to the gym. It's like,
Oh, it can be anything.
It's like we hope
Yeah.
that's your cup
Yeah.
of
Like
tea.
a hobby, like something
Oh.
that wakes you up every day and it makes you excited.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
really it.
It's like we'll go to Forever 10 and play cards
Mhm.
for a hobby. That
That's
can be a
awesome.
stress relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's awesome to do that.
So let's talk about another one that a lot of people don't think
Mhm.
of. I'm just gonna ask your stance.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll be open as well. Marijuana just became legal in the state of Missouri. Me personally, I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
Now, I think that it's good to be regulated. That way you know what you're getting. You're not worried about any possible lace things, stuff like that.
Yep.
But also just THC in general. So what's your take on it?
I think it helps tremendously with anxiety, with PTSD. I mean, it's another resource that people really should be open to, because things like marijuana and other like just psychedelics, it opens up a part of your brain that's not normally on. And that's the thing, is it allows you to think in a different way, it gives you more perspective. I mean, it's amazing, and it sucks that that's just becoming legal now. Psychedelics, I mean, there's one of them that you can get prescribed, but there's one that in every state you can get prescribed by your doctor. It's really expensive. Insurance doesn't really cover it, but that's the thing. This alternative medicine, there is scientific backing that it works.
Oh, exactly.
The way I always describe my mind, I felt like I always had like ADD or ADHD, where it just go, go, go. My conveyor belt is just full of boxes and packages, and it's going down a funnel, and that funnel is just clogged constantly. So early on, after I got out of the military, I was like, well, I'm going to try Adderall. Okay, so
Oh no.
that being said, you know what? I'm not going to lie. It was awesome in the sense of I can have tunnel vision in 8 directions and be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And I could just focus like that because now my funnel just opened wide up, right?
Yeah.
But I would still forget something, and that was to eat.
Yep.
Okay,
Mhm.
so
Important
then,
part.
yeah, just that little part right there. So then, when I had tried THC for the first time, because people need to understand that is it is part of a cannibalist. But the first time I tried THC, instead of my conveyor belt going a million miles an hour, it just went down to about half speed. And I was just like, oh,
Relax.
that was it.
It just relaxes
I was just
you.
like, that's what I want. Because
Mhm.
now I'm still processing packages just fine.
Yep.
The funnel's not clogged.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's like, it's going slow enough where I'm just like, like, I'm relaxed. My mind's at ease. I can sleep.
Mhm.
Because I think that's another thing, people with certain ailments, they don't get enough sleep. They're stressed. They're
That's-
going everywhere.
I was gonna say, so there was actually a study done that, so with depression, I did a big episode on depression, did a ton of research about it. So insomnia is it can cause depression in a lot of people. There was a study done that 67% of people that basically got a regular sleep schedule, 7 to 8 hours every day, depression went away. And the thing is too, and going a little further with it, a lot of people are like, I can't sleep. I can never get sleep. Well, a good question to ask is, are you getting vitamin D? So the sun boosts your serotonin and actually mutes out your melatonin, which is what helps you sleep at night. So that's a big thing when people are like, oh, I can't sleep. It's like, dude, get like 30 minutes in the sun. It'll help. Like, it's not going to be like this drastic, oh, it's going to have you just pass out at night.
Right.
But it will be easier, because like I said, I mean, the sleepiness goes away and it boosts your serotonin levels. So yeah, insomnia, curing sleep, I mean, really big thing, really important.
Well, and like finding that out like through THC, like how much, like, because I'm the same way, like it helped me tremendously. And what it did for me, like kind of the same way, like kind of slows things down.
Yep.
But honestly, what it would do for me is it would give me a better perspective on maybe what was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's one of those where it's like I would do it like if I was like severely anxious, stressed, and things like that. And I'm like, why am I so wound up?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And like I would find times that when I would do it, like it sounds kind of crazy, but it's almost like putting yourself in like the fourth dimension, because you can kind of look at everything from a broader standpoint. You're just like, okay, I'm mad at this right here, but it's like I need to be looking through that, what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like you
Yeah.
said, sometimes you have to get out of your own head to look at that and see it, and you're like, oh, okay, I just need to calm the hell down.
Exactly.
That's not as big of an issue as what I thought it was, because it was the only thing I was.
Well, and like you said, you get a different perspective of it because, like I said, it turns on a part of your brain that's not normally on if it's working. So, the hard on yourself, being so practical, the stance that you have that's really just messing you up, marijuana can help you just get a different perspective on it, different thought process. It's like you said, it's relaxing, it's calming, it slows your mind down. You're not going 80 miles a minute because that's the thing. I mean, like you, my mind is constantly going. I have anxiety to the point where I will worry about things that I will create my own issues and problems in my head. I will have a bad day about something that I literally, it could never happen.
Yes.
I'm literally thinking of
Can
this
you
terrible.
just repeat that one more time?
Yeah,
One more time for the people at
Literally.
home. I create my own problems in my head.
Yep.
We all
Exactly.
have
We
done
all
it.
do it.
Yep.
We all do it.
And that's the thing, and that's why marijuana is so helpful, because it's days like that where I'm having a horrible day because I've thought of something just absolutely ridiculous. I smoke, and then I'm like, okay, why did we just waste the whole day worrying about that,
Well, I think another big thing, especially nowadays, is the like instant gratification.
Yeah, oh,
We
yes.
want that.
Yes.
What happens when we don't, though? It's just like that. It's like, oh, I'm going to take a selfie. I look great. Nothing in the background. Boom. Send it out there. And you wait. And then you wait. And nothing. And then an hour goes by.
Mhm.
Oh, you've had views, but no likes. You might have had a like and no comment. Or it's just not doing it.
Eat you up.
Exactly. Just talking about it, just like that, how much anxiety did that make all of us feel?
How many people probably
How many
listening
people
just,
at
just
home
put their heads down?
Just exactly, like they
Literally.
just sent a post, listening to this and going, I mean, I hope it gets all the like stuff. I mean, it should, right?
Yeah, well, even with a podcast. I'll
Exactly.
post a podcast, and I'm
Yeah.
like, are people going to listen to this? Like,
Exactly, and I think that's such a it's like a bad thing, nowadays, because we look for it so much. Where back in the day, you didn't get that. There was no instant gratification. It was just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
rolled through life.
And I had to catch myself on some of that because, like, I'd be like, man, I worked on making this video. Did somebody like it? And then there I am on Instagram. Oh, that's an awesome video. Never liked it.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Yep.
and I catch myself. I'm like, well, look at you. Like, it's like they might have thought it was awesome. They might. It's like, don't put the self-doubt in your head.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, people. It's easy to just hit the like button.
And it means not. Essentially, it really means
doesn't mean
nothing.
anything. But it's like
Yeah.
that. It's like, you know what? And like we always say, it's like leave comments. Like we love hearing feedback.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those where it's like we want to hear it all.
Mhm.
I say it like every podcast. We'll say it's like, let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like.
Mhm.
That's how we can progress this thing to make it better for
Yeah.
everybody.
Now, one other thing, talking about the vitamin D, you got me thinking on that. One thing we got really into this past year was grounding. You know what that
Do
is?
you know what grounding is?
I do not.
So grounding is where you go outside and you're barefoot.
Ooh.
Just
And
stand
you
on
st-
earth.
And you
Get
stand
off
on earth.
concrete. Get in the grass on some dirt.
One thing that I found during this time frame is because you're separating yourself from electronic.
Mhm.
What we would do is a lot of times I'd find a table or find something, put my phone on it. Now it's not on me.
Yep.
And essentially I'm outside and I'm just spending time with nature. And I don't know if it was just me, but it's just like I had my own type of gratification of thinking like, man, when's the last time I was really outside and just enjoying myself? And man, was I a kid?
And that's where I take you're like going outside barefoot. I'm like, okay, that reminds me of when I was 12 years old, would run around with my friends every day throughout the week, like any day off, any weekend, and just hang out. And that's the thing is you go back, I'm like, I didn't deal with granted, I was a kid, but I didn't have a worry in the world. Mental health is so prevalent with junior high kids today at that age. I was not concerned about likes, what people thought of,
You
I
just
was
want to have a little
living
fun and live. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. I was just wanting to do a little research on the
Yeah,
grounding,
go
like
ahead.
what it actually was. And so I Googled it, and it's like, what is grounding? Grounding, a.k.a. is called earthing as well. It is an act of walking barefoot on earth, whether it be sand, dirt, or grass. When you walk barefoot on the earth, your body picks up free ions from the earth's surface that acts as antioxidants in your system. And that's what we started doing because last year, of course, we did major cuts. He lost a lot of weight, and I did the same thing. But we
Yeah.
practiced the grounding every day because as I was cutting and doing a lot more cardio and things like that, I was noticing like, okay, it's like I'm doing different things than normal, and I have inflammation in spots that aren't normal.
Yeah.
And I was getting a little sore, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Because I started thinking of it in a supplemental aspect. I'm like, what else do I need to take? What am I missing here? You know what I mean? It's like I'm trying to figure out my body, and John figured out earthing, and he was like, hey, bro, he's like, why don't we just go outside barefoot? Let's just go outside.
Actually, he figured it out, and I just took it to the.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, let's
Because
just
he
do
mentioned
it.
it, and I was just like, all right, I'm about
Yeah, I was
this.
like, well, let's try it, and yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where I don't practice it enough as what I should now,
Yeah.
but it was amazing how much information, how
That's
much better
crazy.
you
I'm
feel.
gonna have to try that.
And it's one of
That's-
those, we
yeah.
would literally just go outside for 10, 15 minutes.
Well, here's a great way to associate that for a lot of people. Okay, why do we love going to the beach? Why do we love going to the Lake of the Ozarks? How often do we take our shoes off? Like when we're there, we're barefoot,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And the next thing you know, you're like, huh?
Because when you really think about it, it's like,
Hey,
how,
no, that's good perspective.
but it is. It's like one of
Yeah.
those where it's like, when's the last time that you actually went barefoot on dirt track?
Yeah, I could.
Exactly. And people don't even think about that.
I think one of the statistics is like over 90% of the world's population since tennis shoes were invented are
Yeah.
they have shoes on, and we go from one controlled environment, whether it be at home, we put our shoes on, we go outside, we get in our car, to the next where we work. And also that's the other point of that is the fact, again, you're outside. We go from one controlled environment to the next, to a car. We're closed in. We're not free. And it's like sometimes you just need to be one out there smelling everything and just having a good time like that. Why do we love barbecue so much? Oh, we're outside.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and it also too, it's another way where you can just kind of relieve, escape, rejuvenate. Because like, granted, I need to go barefoot now, but just going on like walks
Yes,
clearing my head.
yes.
That's always been a big thing for me. Like at my before when I was graduating high school, I had a big like graduation party, and I remember there it rained. We were supposed to have it outside, but it was inside. There were so many people in there, and obviously I was graduating, and all these people wanted to talk. I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, okay. I literally just fucking left and went on a walk around my street because I'm like, I need to clear my head. Like, there's too much going on. Being outside, it's a good feeling. Yeah, it's always made me feel better.
It is. It's like, it's comforting in a way. And like for me, it's like, there's times when it's like, I'd love to be outside like during the day and things, but almost for me, it's like, I'd rather be out like on a clear, starry night. When you see all the stars and it's just beautiful and, that's when I want.
I totally agree. Fresh air, like you said, Midwest starry night is impeccable.
Exactly. And
what do you think about like even people getting ready to go hunting and stuff? Like you hear it all the time. It's like, I fell asleep, but they're just happy. They were comfortable. It's like they will get up to go outside to take a nap. To love it outside.
Yeah,
and I've done that numerous times. You just be sitting by a tree or sitting in a deer stand, and the next thing you know, you're waking up and you're like, oh. It's like, how much have I missed? What all walked by? Oh no! That happens all the time.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, just there's so many little things you can do literally going outside. There's so many things that are like at our fingertips that we don't even realize can make us feel a little bit better. We just don't do it. We don't think about it.
Yeah.
So, getting close to the end, this hour. Oh my gosh! Wow.
It went by fast.
That's so fast. If you could give one last little piece of advice to anybody listening, I mean, I know we've covered a lot, what would that be?
Don't ever be afraid to talk to somebody about your mental health because 99.9% of the time they are going through something so similar.
Yep.
And that's the thing is, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to do anything about it. But, I started talking, especially, so, like, my boyfriend and I, in a relationship, that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with, being comfortable. And that's why a lot of relationships end. They don't, there's so many problems is because the person you're with has to understand you from that mental standpoint, and if you don't talk about it, if you're not honest about it, it's never going to work. And that's the thing. I have really bad anxiety, and it stresses me out. I can project really badly. But if I weren't to tell my partner that, he's like, why are you being so rude? Why are you going crazy right now? That's the thing. Talking about it not only can help your relationship, but it makes you feel better because you can almost feel understood.
Right.
And we all just want to feel understood.
Yeah. And and it's kind of one of those things too where it's like on the other end of that, if like say if you're listening to this and like maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend has depression, anxiety, stuff like that. It's like just be supportive in any way you can. Don't try to force them to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's like it's a very wishy-washy thing. Because, you know what I mean? Because you want to get them out of their funk. You want to get them to do something, but you can't force them too much. And still, you know what I mean? Like
exactly
because they'll push back. I do.
No, 100%. And one thing too you need to realize is if you bring up suicide to somebody, that's actually better than you not talking about it.
Yes.
Because the thought's there, and that's something that's so important. So many people want to tiptoe around it, but it's actually so much more beneficial to talk about that. It's uncomfortable, but it can save someone's life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's, and talking about those uncomfortable things, that's what has to be done.
It really does.
And that's the beauty of your podcast. That's why we love it. Talking mental health because it's just.
That's why we appreciate you coming on.
It's awesome. We love that, because it's one of those where it's like, we like joking around and doing all that fun stuff, too. But it's like, but getting into the seriousness of it. It's so wonderful what you're doing because I promise you it's helping more people than you'll ever.
Well, thank you guys, and I appreciate you guys for letting me even come on here and talk about it.
It's our pleasure. We thank you so much. Your word of positivity and what you're spreading through your podcast is absolutely amazing. It is wonderful. If you haven't seen it, people, please go check it out. Like I say, it's called Mental Health Happy Hour. It's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You have a website.
Yep.
And it's mentalhealthhappyhour.com.
Yep.
Just spell it all out. You'll get there.
Exactly, right there.
That's awesome. So like future plans for the podcast. Do you have any like big plans coming up? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a nonprofit out of this. So I am working on getting basically copyright, trademark for my logo because I want to start selling merchandise and having a percentage of the proceeds start going to things like NAMI.
Yeah.
I want to start helping, kind of funneling in, kind of like a charity with it.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm working on. Is once we get all that done, is you know getting those resources, getting that information, just getting the word about it out. Because I truly just want to make a mental health club and a podcast.
Yeah.
Somewhere people can go to get educated, resources. I mean, just to feel safe.
Right. That's awesome. That is so cool. And like that, and of course, with your show coming up,
Yes.
Miss Missouri, good luck.
Good
We're
luck.
supporting
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
We're gonna try and watch it. If we can even come down, we're gonna try to do that too. Because that's
100%.
awesome. Because
I was gonna say that
It's-
it's not like there's nothing
it's-
to do down there.
exactly. But like I say, thank you so much for coming on again. It has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, it's been awesome.
Before we wrap it up, I'm just going to throw this out there from all three of us. If you are going through a problem, just know we're cheering.
Yes.
We're on your
You are
side.
not alone.
You're not
No.
alone. If you need to talk to somebody, remember you can dial 988 for an assistant hotline. Do not be scared to ask for help.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean,
I was going to say really quick now that you say that, on mentalhealthhappyhour.com, I have a resources page.
Perfect.
I mean, anything you're dealing with, there is just a plethora of things on there. I have guests that give me other resources to add. So
awesome.
if you're ever just looking for a direction to go in, literally it's mental health resources on my website. Check it out. I try to update it as much as I can.
awesome. That's wonderful. And you have an Instagram too.
Yes. It's
Okay.
just my first name. It's Elexandria, like Alex, but with an E underscore. And that's where I put mental health motivation. My outlet is fitness and health. So, I'm not shy about talking about, good
Right.
days, bad days, hard times. So, yeah, I was going to say, if you need some just motivation or, ideas in the gym.
Yeah,
check it out.
exactly. And like that, it's like don't be afraid to reach out.
Yes.
Even if you want to contact us, people, it's fine. It's like it's okay.
Yeah.
Talk to
It's
somebody.
more important than the big picture is more important.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I will talk to anyone anytime. If I can help you out a little bit or just make you feel a little bit better, like, please contact me. I am always here to help. Or
Great.
listen. Just listen.
Exactly. Well, yeah, we have all
Yeah,
kinds of things
yeah.
that we still need to go through, but we're out of time. But like I say, once again, thank you so much.
Thank
it has
you.
been amazing.
Thank you,
this hour
guys.
went by so fast.
Yep.
Thank you all for tuning back in. Please give it a like, subscribe if you can, or if you have. Like I say, tell your friends about it. If you know of anybody that's going through some struggles,
Yeah,
like I
if
say,
there's a podcast that needs to be seen, I think this is one of them.
Exactly. Go find her at Mental Health Happy Hour. You can say follow us. We'll put all of her information in our link below. Like I say, it's going to be awesome. Reach out if you need to. Once again, like I say, we just want to thank everybody for the subscriptions, for the likes, comments. It's absolutely amazing. We're trying to make it better all the time. The feedback is what we need. So leave comments. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Like I say, we just want to thank our sponsors again, Steve at Showcase Sedalia, Bob and Amy at Forever 10, and then Brian at Sedalia GNC in Osage Beach. Like I say, give us a shout. It's been amazing.
We're going to end it like we always do. We're going to point at the camera. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Who are you?